In my last video, we discussed ChatGPT 3 and what lies ahead. This time, I want to take you back in time about 160,000 years. When I say 160,000 years, do not forget that the recorded history is only about 5,000 years old. Why 160,000 years? Because in 1997 in Ethiopia, archaeologists discovered a human fossil which they call Hertoman. Hertoman is the oldest fully recognizable human fossil, and he lived about 160,000 years ago, give or take few millennia. In Hertoman's time, the human population must have been around 30 to 40,000 people living somewhere in East Africa. About 1,000 centuries later, anywhere between 90,000 to 60,000 years ago, some of them decided to move. And ever since, we have been on the move. It fascinates me to think of those early men and women with their primitive languages and their primitive tools, taking a decision to leave their caves and shelters and start walking barefoot, bare-bodied, defenseless against nature, defenseless against predators, not knowing what lies beyond the next hill, not knowing what lies beyond the next woods, not knowing what lies beyond the next river. They just walked. What was it that forced them to walk? Was it flood? Was it drought? Was it famine? We don't know. But what we do know is this. They had a gene called DRD4, dopamine receptor D4. Now 20% of the world's population has a variation of DRD4 called 7R. And what does 7R do? Among many other things, what DRD4 7R does is to make people restless and curious, which obviously means they yearn for novelty and newness and also have to renew their passport more often. Let us call this wanderlust gene. These people traveled out of Africa carrying out this gene and they passed it on. This was what made the human race spread across the planet, made them leave Africa, continue their journey across Asia, and probably cross the Bering Straits and into North America. It made some create crude rafts and cross the Pacific Ocean from Peru to Polynesian Islands. Imagine getting onto a crude raft made of branches tied together with vines to see what lies beyond the horizon. Now imagine chasing that horizon till you end up crossing the Pacific. What did they eat? What did they drink? DRD4 made a young Alexander leave Macedonia and venture across the world, not knowing which nation lay ahead to conquer. It made the Vikings leave their cold homes and sail to Europe and apparently even to America. It made men leave their homes, their wives and children and travel to the Silk Route. You could come back prosperous or die and spend eternity on a roadside somewhere. In India, imagine Adi Shankara walking across the length and the breadth of the land that he would call Bharatam. Twice. He is not just India's greatest philosopher. He is India's greatest traveler too. I love to travel, but today travel is so much easier. I just hop into an aircraft and when I hop off, I have a car waiting for me. Imagine those people we just spoke of who left their home not knowing whether they would ever return. Now, that is the true expression of DRD 47R, which makes people embrace movement, change, and adventure, which makes them open to risk. It is the risk that drives more and more dopamine into the brain, bringing more gratification from more exploration. I am reasonably sure, I'm 100% sure that I have DRD 47R. And it is by no stretch of imagination recessive in me. I love new places, new restaurants, new food, meeting new people, seeing something new, hearing something new. Sometimes I think I even love hotel rooms and transit lounges. But my travel, of course, is a travel in comfort. I have no raging seas to cross, and GPS tells me what lies ahead. Think about a 14-year-old Marco Polo leaving Venice with his father and uncle in 1259, then traveling across Asia, going deep into China, the Mughal Empire, India, and Southeast Asia, then going across to Persia, Constantinople, and returning home alive after 24 years at the age of 38. Much of the time, he didn't know what was ahead, but he ventured there and wrote about it. It was through his writings that the Western world learnt about the Eastern world. Marco Polo traveled an estimated 24,000 kilometers, which is nothing compared to his contemporary Ibn Battuta, who apparently traveled 117,000 kilometers. Over 30 years, he traveled across Africa, Asia, and Europe and documented what he witnessed in a book aptly titled A Gift to Those Who Contemplate the Wonders of Cities and the Marvels of Traveling. Why, even our epics are full of DRD 47R. Our oldest surviving literature, the Epic of Gilgamesh, is about a quest. The Ramayana is about a journey. The Exodus in the Bible is a 40-year journey. Homer's Odyssey is a quest. Well, so in a way is Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. And so, of course, is George Lucas's Star Trek. Sure, we can talk about language, agriculture, settled life, cities, civilization, nations, religion, philosophy, transport, communication, and everything else that makes the world what it is, that makes us who we are. But I believe it is those folks with DRD 47R who first left their shelters in East Africa who truly built this world of ours. If they had not moved out, Homo sapiens would have probably perished as well, like the many other hominin species that didn't survive. It is our curiosity that keeps us alive.